We are back for Roundtable Dolphins, episode number 13. No more blurring the background for me. Got my office set up a little bit going here in the new place. Got Tua jersey right there. Check it out. Signed,
Aw.
even though he just left, but it's all right. I've had it for quite a while and finally got to frame it. Tombstone, Star Wars, all my favorite things. But anyway, I digress. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to cover, and the main thing that we are covering right now, at the top of the hour, is Jalen Waddle is no longer a member of the Miami Dolphins. This was kind of expected. I really thought this was going to happen between him or Achan, Devon Achan, simply because obviously I believe teams were calling about both for months on end, which is clearly what happened. The Bills tried to get Waddle at the trade deadline in November. They also did offer a first round pick, I believe, in more, but the Dolphins didn't want to do that because trading a player like Jalen Waddle and then having to play him twice a year, you kind of don't want to do that. But instead, the Broncos apparently were in on the mix as well. I don't know if they were in on the mix back then, but they were in on the mix the last few months trying to see what they could work out. And it turns out they got a deal done. They sent the number 30 overall to the Dolphins, a third round and a fourth round pick for Waddle and a fourth round pick. Yeah, Waddle is now on a AFC contender. I'm happy for him for that reason. I think the Dolphins did right by him because it's like you're young in your career. You're 5 years in. You know he's averaged 1,000 yards per season receiving. He deserved to go to somewhere good, not just to go to like the Jets or somebody like that. So I'm happy for him. I'm sad as hell because Jalen Waddle was fantastic while he was with the Dolphins. But yeah, he's now a member of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, he's only 27 years old, so it gives him a chance to, spend the best part of his career contending with the team. Sad for Dolphins fans, of course, but that draft capital that you got in exchange for it is great and a great place to start, building an even better team around Malik Willis.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, you knew the direction, you knew that the Dolphins were going in this type of direction with the new head coach, new GM, and then just the way uh, John Eric Sullivan just talked about the type of team he wants, the direction he wants to go in. So, yeah, James, like you said, it was either going to be Achan or Waddle. John Eric Sullivan spoke highly about both, mainly more about Achan. Um, it happened to be Waddle to be the next guy gone. Now two of your top receivers are no longer there in Hill and Waddle, so it's clear it's clearly going to be a fresh start, something new for this new regime, which makes total sense. Um, yeah, Waddle at least gets to spend, at least maybe up until he's 30 years old. We'll see how things work out in Denver, contending. Obviously, Denver is coming off a 14-win season. They brought back a lot of their players. They're one of the few teams, or one of the only teams, who haven't even like signed a new player in free agency outside of the team they already assembled. Waddle's their first like major addition, and they had to give up a lot for him. So they clearly view Waddle as like a player who, kind of like a missing piece. They feel like they're maybe one piece away from representing the AFC. They probably got that player now. We'll see how things pan out, and if it's a year-to-year basis. But yeah, huge pickup for the Broncos, and then Dolphins. They're going in the direction they want to. We'll see how 2026 pans out for them. Probably not going to be as good, but it's all about 2027, 2028, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is about draft capital. It wasn't just the fact that the Dolphins got a first round pick for him. It was the fact that they got a first round pick and they got additional compensation. So they got the number 94 overall in the third round and then 130 overall in the fourth round. So now the Dolphins have four third round picks, which is huge. That's very, very huge for them in this full rebuild. It's not a, I would say it's not a, I guess we could say it's not a reset completely because obviously the Dolphins are keeping multiple players on the roster still. If they got rid of everybody, including Devon Achane, then yeah, it would be a complete reset, and that would be understandable. But as it stands right now, they have the number 11 overall, number 30 overall in the first round, second round number 43, third round they got number 75 overall, number 87 overall, number 90 overall, number 94 overall. fourth round, number 130, fifth round, number 151, seventh round, number 227, and number 238 overall. So they stacked a lot of draft capital. This is huge. Obviously, this is what you wanted. John Eric Sullivan made it a point to be like, I'm going to rebuild through the draft. That is what the Packers have done and made them a consistent winner for the past 30 years. So you can't hate it as much as it pains me, for Waddle not to be on the Dolphins anymore, especially because, John Eric Sullivan did say that there are players that are building blocks, and he did mention Jalen Waddle by name, as did Jeff Hafley, but he also said, to his credit, he also said that they would listen to any offer for any player, and any player is tradable for the right offer. So again, first round pick, third, fourth round, you send a fourth round back. I think it's good value. There's a lot of people on Dolphins Twitter that are very upset about it, saying, especially going after longtime columnist Omar Kelly, because he said they would not trade him for anything less than a top 16 selection. But even regardless of that, they got a first round pick for him. And he may be young, he's 5 years in the league, but to get a first round pick for a player who has not gone over 1,000 yards receiving the last 2 seasons, I think is pretty huge, especially because you get that third and fourth round back as well. So I'm not mad. I'm happy for him to go to Broncos because they're right there. They're knocking on the door. I think they're going to be even better with Waddle. Like you just said, buddy, like maybe not the missing piece, but to upgrade their receiving core in such a way and to have Bo Nix be able to throw to Waddle, who can stretch the field in seconds, as we've seen, huge for them. Again, compensation, great for the Dolphins. Very happy about the compensation that came back. They're building through the draft. Like I said, that's what John Eric Sullivan wanted to do, and that's what he's going to continue to do. And you can only say that so much. That's the problem with a lot of GMs, a lot of Chris Greer, and a lot of the past regimes for the Dolphins. That's what they've said for years, but nobody ever pulled the trigger. Nobody ever pulled the trigger to be like, we're going to rebuild through the draft, and then you rebuild through the draft. So John Eric Sullivan damn near took this thing down to the studs and was like, well, this is what we're doing. And, hats off to him. He's got a direction to go, and we'll see what happens. But, we briefly mentioned him. And this was the other player that I also thought for months on end, for weeks, that he would be also traded. That's Devon Achane, running back Devon Achane, Pro Bowler. Apparently, he's not up for grabs for anybody. The Dolphins made it a point to tell teams, according to Ian Rappaport, that he is not on the trade block. So this one's a little confusing, because if people were offering a top 16 selection, another first round pick and more, why would you not listen to that too? But I guess it's because Sullivan and Hafley and the rest of the Dolphins brass and everybody really on the team probably just views Achane as a bigger, longer term investment than they did Waddle. So Devon Achane will remain, which of course, I mean, look at the way that guy's just played thus far. And he's even younger in his career. He's only going to be playing in his 4th season in the NFL. The first season was kind of a wash because he missed a lot because of injury, but he only got better. So you still got Patrick Paul, Jonas Avenea on the line. You still got Aaron Brewer. You still got Jordan Brooks. The offense took a major hit in the wide receiver room, because now you only got Jalen Tolbert and Tutu Atwell and those other no-name guys that I really don't know that well. But Devon Achane, he's sticking around. I think that's good, establish that run game. But yeah, Devon Achane can't be traded.
Yeah. I think, he's a younger guy, like you said, a younger guy, and almost in a way that Waddle can't afford it. He can kind of afford to stick around through a rebuild, just get better at what he does and then really go off when the team fully restacks. But with that draft capital that they got for Waddle, they're fully on their way. It's really just going to be seeing how this team evolves over time and kind of gets that chemistry together. I think it's a good thing to keep Achane, but when you've got someone who is doing their job and doing it well, I mean, I can say that for so many people that they did let walk out the door. But for me, Malik Willis seems to be the guy who's a running quarterback. And I think when you've got 2 great powerhouse runners, and you build around that, then I don't know why they would let him go out the building.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, to lean into the dual threat capability, similar to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Obviously him and Derrick Henry, both of those guys together are magic, and you could kind of see the same thing happening with Willis and Devon Achane. So don't let Devon Achane out of the building, but obviously you trade Waddle because you look at where the Dolphins are drafting too, and obviously they have 2 first-round picks, so you could even go later in that number 30 and get a wide receiver as well.
Yep.
But jumping a little ahead, but yeah, Devon Achane, um, yeah, I think he's more so that player that you want to invest in and see what he can do down the line as opposed to Jalen Waddle, who's already got 5 years in. Yeah, I mean, again, this is not a knock against Jalen Waddle. Like, I love Jalen Waddle. I think he's a fantastic player. Dude's been like, he's been playing out of his mind, and even when he gets hurt, he'll jog off the field for like a few snaps and then come right back on. So, he's got that heart. I think it's very heartwarming that him and his best friend Patrick Surtain are now teammates. So
Yeah.
that's cool. It's cool to see that. But anyway, back to Devon Achane. Yeah, I just think, and also too, like, it's not like Devon Achane is a crazy good runner, but he's also super good catching out of the backfield too. Like, that's the other thing too, is like he's a good pass catching running back as well.
Good, because he needs to be able to pass to someone.
Right. But I mean, like, his abilities as well, probably, like, they're like, we can use that a little bit more. Maybe not Declan Doyle, maybe Bobby Slowick is trying to capitalize on that as well, using him more in the pass catching aspect of things. But yeah, Devon Achane is safe for now.
No, yeah,
Rest easy.
yeah, no, he is safer now. I mean, he's only 24 years old. Clearly Sullivan spoke highly on him, and they're going to keep him around. And I think now it begs the question now whether not. I think he's safe. Now it's whether, all right, what's his next contract going to look like? Because clearly they're going to invest in him a lot. This season alone, he's going to earn $5.7 million. He's way more than he's overplaying his contract already, right? He's coming off a phenomenal season this year. He averaged 5.7 yards per carry, and in his career, he averages 6.1. That's just like those are just insane numbers.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He's arguably the most dynamic, most explosive running back in the league right now, right? So now the only question
Derrick
is,
Henry, please have some respect.
I mean, yeah, like obviously, like the injuries are there, right? There's a lot of question marks in terms of his durability, but there's no doubting, HM when he's on the field, he's super explosive. He's a game changer. He's a game wrecker. You know, like his next contract right here, I'm seeing right here, he's slated for roughly a 3-year, $36.7 million contract.
Yeah, that's going to go way higher than that.
Yeah,
There's no way it's that low.
and
He's
then
going to get something similar to what James Cook got. He's going to get like a 50 million 3-year deal, something along those lines for sure. But not to cut you off, but no, I mean, like, to your point, yeah, like, I think that because of that as well, because of all the money that they are shedding, like, they're now paying over 185 million in dead cap, but that's for a reason. They're shedding all these contracts, so 2027 and beyond is going to be better. But so they can afford and give someone like Devon Achane that fat contract when the time comes, which is it's rapidly approaching. But they might even push it to do his 5th-year option or give him the franchise tag, whatever. But give themselves more breathing room to bring in different players. But yeah.
No, yeah, exactly, and I think that's yeah. In terms of his next contract, it's a matter of when, not if. And it could happen sometime this offseason. It's most likely going to happen sometime this offseason. It's just a matter of when. They're clearly building around HN. They're clearly building around that running game to give Malik Willis just a little bit off his plate, right? And if HN's healthy for most part of the year, I'm not saying the Dolphins are gonna make like this improbable run or anything like that, but there's a chance where they could surprise some people and maybe be at least competitive, right? So I think that's the goal for 2026, and I think right now they're off to a pretty solid track.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I mean, like, you look at Achan's numbers over these past 3 years, even only 11 games, and he only started 4 in 2023. He had 997 yards from scrimmage and 11 touchdowns, 800 yards rushing, and he had 197 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns receiving, and 8 touchdowns rushing. He had a 7.8 yards per attempt average in then. And that's insane for 11 games and to have that as an average. 2024, he dipped a little bit, but he still had 1,499 yards from scrimmage and 12 touchdowns. And then 2025, he made the Pro Bowl off of 1,838 and 12 touchdowns. He had As you said, 5.7 yards per carry. That led the league. 1,350 rushing yards, and he had 488 receiving yards. So again, that is a bigger long term investment in my eyes. Is like you keep that and you see what you can really open up and evolve in his game. And obviously, he's not going to be the guy that you're going to rely on be your pass catcher. But if he can catch over the middle and just run like yards after the catch, like we know the Dolphins like with their players, yeah, that's going to be a bit more valuable than Waddle, his production has dipped a little bit, but for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you want to invest in that young guy. And there's a reason people are blowing up John Eric Sullivan's phone. They're like, give me a piece of that. So I think it's great that he's sticking around and that they can, keep him and just have the best years of his career with them.
He's never had a season under single digit touchdowns.
Yeah,
And like you said, James, he only played 11 games in 2023, and he still had 11 total touchdowns.
yeah,
I mean, like, he scored a touchdown on average.
and on every game, yeah.
That's
Yeah, so again, this is just unless they get a ridiculous offer for him, which if a team came in and said we're giving you 2 first-round picks, you're trading Devon Achane, hands down. I don't think they're going to accept anything less than a 1, and then probably a high 1, and then probably it's got to be a 2 or 2s and 3s in there as well to even move him. But even regardless of them saying of John Eric Sullivan or whoever said he's not for sale, we know for a fact that's not true because Sullivan said it himself. Right price for the right player. Obviously, they want to keep Achane around, but that's why I was like, we'll see what happens. Could he be next? Possibly. Even with that report from Ian Rappaport, I still don't think that's ironclad at all. I think John Eric Sullivan's going to listen to whatever offer comes across the table, and again, if
It could be a game. It could be like, hey guys, it's done unless, it's just a way to push up the value in a way.
100%. I mean, but everybody obviously smells blood in the water, and they're like, "Oh, the Dolphins are, tanking or whatever they want to say," but because they got rid of Waddle or they traded Waddle, and of course, as a GM, you're gonna call and ask about Achane. He's the most explosive running back in the league right now. He just is. But
I'm a loyal gal, okay?
hey, look, I love Derrick Henry. He's slightly under Devon Achane, but Devon Achane is younger. He's just crazy, and that's not a knock to Derrick Henry. Anyway, the point being, he's just that player, and he's only getting better as we continue to see. And that's year 3, and the dude already got almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Like that's crazy numbers.
No one let him near the Madden cover.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next season. Please don't get on the Madden cover. Please don't. Don't do that.
You're gonna need him for
The curse is real. Don't do it. But no. So this is what was expected. We all knew this was going to happen. We knew that the Dolphins were heading in the direction of a rebuild. Obviously, they got rid of literally everybody and all those bloated contracts. All that dead money is for a reason. They're moving off all of that. So that way in 2027, they're going to have probably one of the better cap situations out of the entire league. And that's the whole point of this. John Eric Sullivan needed to make those tough calls, needed to shed all that money to set the Dolphins up for 2027 and beyond. This isn't a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing that, again, the Dolphins have not done in a very, very long time. And the past regimes of Chris Greer and Stephen Ross just throwing money at players, and that's what got them in this horrible situation. So it sucks. And the person that I feel the most worst, I feel bad for the most is Malik Willis. So
Yep.
Malik Willis comes in, signs this 3-year contract, which is technically a 2-year contract. The third one is kind of like that kind of void year. It's not really a void year, but it's just like basically you're renting Malik Willis for 2 years to see. The issue with this is now Malik Willis has way less weapons. You don't got Tyreek Hill. You don't got Darren Waller. Now you don't got Jalen Waddle. You do have Devon Achane, which is great, but Devon Achane isn't a true wide receiver, and it shouldn't be treated as such. So now you have a really, really depleted wide receiver room, and it kind of sucks for Malik Willis because are they giving him a fair chance to come in and lead this team when you have an offense that's like really kind of beaten down to the studs almost for your playmakers? That is, again, they still have They have a decent offensive line right now. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're gonna need to upgrade it regardless. But again, you got Patrick Paul, you got Aaron Brewer. Hopefully, Jonah Sabanea does a lot better. Austin Jackson's coming back on restructured contract. You have a little bit of stuff to figure out there, but the offensive line should still be pretty good. Again, you got Devon Achane, but it's just the wide receiver room that is now very, very suspect. I mentioned them before. You got Jalen Tolbert, who's coming off of a really low production season with the Cowboys. He did have 7 touchdowns in 2024, but he wasn't really utilized as much because of George Pickens and obviously CeeDee Lamb. Like, why the hell would you not throw to those guys? But he's still an unknown. And then Tutu Atwell, which we know very well from his time with the Rams, also not really a production monster, but again, he hasn't really been given a fair shake of things, so to speak. So maybe there's some hidden gems there, but overall, I mean, it sucks for Malik Willis because, like, who the hell is he going to throw the ball to?
Yeah, this was my question was, if he's expected to contend for that quarterback position, you need to give him a fair shot to be able to do so. I mean, unless he's been given realistic expectations and saying like, hey, this is what's going to happen, completely understand, what comes next in terms of like him and what he can do. But yeah, I did feel a little bit gutted for him seeing that because, just keeping Waddle and Achane, like at least you've got something and you can kind of build around that. But now you really are just like, who's it? I mean, and I guess I think, they'll probably find a great receiver in the draft. They've got great position for their first pick. Could that be the star to build over the next couple of years while Malik Willis is at it? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think the Dolphins, I think they had a clear plan. I think I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that to a certain extent, Malik Willis knew what he was getting himself into in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that he's like, oh, you know what, year one may not be as pretty, both record wise and maybe like play style wise and how the offense is gonna go. So I think to a certain extent, I think for the most part he knew what he was getting himself into. But yeah, James, these weapons aren't pretty. You got the two Washington boys, Malik and Taj, former Trojan.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
Jalen Tolbert, who they signed in free agency. You got
You got
Tutu Atwell.
you got Theo Wees Jr. You got these guys that are just they didn't do jack shit. Sorry, in 2025. But I mean,
Yeah,
again, like
Maybe
this
Hafley's
doesn't
got a plan for him.
this doesn't mean that none of them can take that leap.
exactly.
Everybody's got the ability to take that leap for sure. And again, like you're betting on that actually, and I think that's what you're supposed to do in the sense of like you're gonna take this roster down to the studs, to the bare minimum, and see what you have. That way, if you don't have what you need, you then go back through the draft and you bring more people in and you bring more people in, infusing competition as they've preached this entire time. And you got to see what you got. So you got all these low cost options. You'll see what happens with any one of them. Maybe Jalen Tolbert can, the good thing about Jalen Tolbert is he's that kind of contested catch wide receiver the Dolphins haven't had. So, I mean, at least you got that. He's a little bit taller than the rest of the guys. He's not so much a speedster as he is the kind of guy that Malik Willis can just huck the ball up to and, he can jump up there and get it. But like you just mentioned, Billy, that's the thing is the Dolphins are at number 11 overall, and they still got another first round pick. Who's to say they can't trade up and do whatever they need to do in that first round? Especially you got 4 third rounders, like that's gold in the draft. Those top 3 rounds you can move around if you really need to. I don't think they're going to, but the point being, you got at number 11 overall, we got another Trojans boy. We got Mekhi Lemon that could go to the Dolphins there, or you got Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Both of those guys could be. The problem with both of those guys is they're not big body receivers. Again, this is something the Dolphins have not honed in on and not focused in on for multiple seasons, and I think that's the problem, especially with somebody like Malik Willis who can throw the ball downfield. He's not Tua Tagovailoa, sorry Tua. He can throw the ball downfield, so you need those guys that you can throw the ball up to, and they can go up and get it. Darren Waller was kind of that guy, but he's not coming back, so you need those big bodies. And I'm not saying that either Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson are not going to be great, but I still think you're going to need more than just those 2 guys if you draft any one of those guys.
Right. No, yeah, I think the clear plan, not the clear, but I think obviously it's looking like they're leaning more towards a pass catcher, specifically a wide receiver at the number 11 pick. You know, like you're right, James. Like in terms of the two options there, most likely the two options there in Tyson and Lemon. They're not really big body wide receivers, something that the Dolphins have been focused in on. Lemon has kind of shown that he could maybe like
Yeah.
get up there, you know, make some contested catches. We saw that a lot last year in 2025
Yeah.
in his time with the Trojans, you know. He has really strong hands. You know, he's kind of like a little miniature Puka Nakua in terms of
Yeah.
yeah, right? You know, yards after the catch, right? Like he's really tough to bring down, but in terms of kind of like this downhill, you know, explosive, you know, just like streak type of player, you know, we'll see if that could translate to the NFL. I don't know. We'll see. He is smaller. He's a little under 6 feet, right? You know, but he has shown have strong hands. Really, kind of like not really a vertical type of player, but from
Yeah.
time to time he could do so. You know, so we'll see. You know,
Yeah.
but those two options, I feel like you really can't go wrong. It's all about preference, right? How does
Yeah.
Sullivan view this? How does maybe, is Malik gonna chime in and be like, you know what, I could maybe see myself more with Tyson, see myself
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
hey, or maybe Malik, I don't know what type of voice he has in there, but it's like, hey, maybe give me some offensive line. Considering that he's a bridge type of quarterback, I don't know how vocal or how much of a voice he's gonna be, but I mean, it's all about how Sullivan's gonna view this season and beyond. It's all about beyond how Halfley is gonna view this, right? So, it's all about preference, and we'll see what type of direction they go in. But in terms of pass catcher, either Tyson Lemon or I really feel like they can't go wrong. These guys are both talented.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, Makai Lemon that has been compared to a mini version of, or rather, not even a mini version, a kind of identical version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. They said the same thing about him. He's a little
Yeah.
bit smaller as a receiver, but he's all pro, and we know how good Brown has been with the Lions. So you look at it that way, and it's like, okay, and you're right, Makai Lemon is that he's a little bit. I think he's 6 feet. I don't think he's under 6 feet. I think he is exactly 6 feet, but I could be wrong. Let me look that up real quick.
They have
Well, no, he's 5'11. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point being, the
That
Dolphins
inch
are.
matters.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Does.
it does and it doesn't, it does and it doesn't. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, we'll see. I think they're still at number 11 overall. That's the point here, and they got number 30 overall. They got two first round picks, and again, that's gold. You can do a lot of things with those. You could bust a Rams and trade down out of number 30 overall, and then stack a first round pick for if you do need to go and get an Arch Manning or go get a Dante Moore in 2027. But going back to the Malik Willis thing here a little bit, it's very smart in what they're doing. I don't really necessarily view him as a bridge quarterback. I think a bridge quarterback would be more of a Joe Flacco or Davis Mills type if they would have went and got them. I think you give Malik Willis less and see what he can do with it. Because then if he comes out swinging and he even
Yeah.
does a decent job with who's who of or who knows wide receiver core, and he throws for like 3,500 or more passing yards, and he balls out, then you go, oh, never mind, we got somebody here, and then you go all in. Because like I said, it's a 3-year contract, which it's more so like a 2-year contract. And maybe that was the expectation. I think Billy, you had said about they told Malik Willis coming in and Jeff Halfley coming in, you're not going to be good in 2026, or rather, you're going to struggle in 2026 because we have cap issues, we have this, that, whatever. And maybe Malik Willis understands that, like, okay, let me I'll still show you what I can do, and if you believe in me, then we got 2027 and everything's going to be good. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, they need help across the board now. This roster is full of low cost, maybe potential high reward signings through free agency. Nobody knows at all what the identity of the Dolphins is going to be, but that's what happens in a rebuild. They needed it. We've been talking about this for weeks, Billy, me, and you before Buddy joined us. This is what they needed. They needed to take this thing down. And we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
Malik Willis is not presumably going to have a lot to work with, but like you said, buddy, maybe he's like, hey, like I really like Makai Lemon. I think Makai Lemon's the kind of guy that I want to throw to. And they go, okay, we're going to get you Makai Lemon. And then you see the chemistry there in year one. And obviously, as we know in the draft, there's no guarantee that any of these players are going to work out. You hope that they will, but
Yeah.
you don't know. You don't know if they're going to take a year or two to actually settle into being in the NFL level and then being good. So even if you bring in a host of all these players, maybe some of them are plug and play, maybe some of them are a little rough around the edges, and then it's all to prepare for 2027. We know this. So it's going to be rough sailing, but if the Dolphins are competitive, then everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan are geniuses.
Yep.
And so, we know, as you said it earlier in the pod too, it's a year to year thing, buddy. Like, it's a year to year thing. Nobody knows what one team is going to be year after year, except if you're like the Rams or, the Seahawks. Everybody knows they're going to be good year after year. But other than that, I mean, like, so many teams change, from being good to being bad, from being bad to being good. And the Dolphins are in the beneficial area of not throwing all this money at free agents that they usually do, only to come up short. So, all that to say, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, yeah, Sullivan has a chance, to really prove himself here, right? I mean, at least in terms of the Dolphins, right? Like he has, was he has a vision in mind. He has a plan in place. Is he going to trade those two first round picks? He's going to keep one of them, right? There's a lot of question marks, but he has a really chance to really hone in, prove himself, and build the team he wants to build, right? So this draft is going to be really huge for the Dolphins. However way it pans out, we'll see what type of team he wants to lead. We'll see what type of vision he has. And, although things look bleak in 2026 in terms of like the actual football being played, you know, there's a lot of excitement to it as well, right? Because, there's a lot of uncertainty and, that there's this not rebuild, but, kind of like kind of restructure of
Mm.
things. So, there's a lot of excitement into that. Although, yeah, the football's not going to be pretty, but there's a lot of excitement into what's to come next. So,
Hmm.
this draft, it all starts with this draft of Sullivan, and I'm very intrigued to see what direction he goes in because I think that's kind of fun to see, right? Because
Yeah.
these are building blocks to what's to come next, not for 2026.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head for sure. It's all a waiting game, and regardless of how many picks you got, you have to hit on those picks. New York Jets, New York Jets. You have to hit on those picks, and that's for the Dolphins. That's for everybody. It doesn't matter. Like the Raiders threw all that money at everybody, but nobody knows if that's going to make the Raiders not be a mediocre to terrible team like they usually are. So I mean, look, I know people are catching strays, and I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking truth. The Dolphins are part of that. We don't know what they're going to be, but
No.
they have a shot to be great again. They have a shot to finally do this. It's going to take a lot of tough decisions, like cutting Tua Tagovailoa, absorbing 99.2 million, trading Jalen Waddle, trading Minka Fitzpatrick, cutting Tyreek Hill. All these moves are for a reason. They need it to happen. And here's hoping that 2026 will be more competitive than people think, and we'll see what 2027 has to offer as well. But
Hmm.
we will be back next week. Thank you so much for everybody listening to Roundtable Dolphins episode number 12. I think I said it was. It could be 13. Let me double check that. I'm always off on my numbers. Number 13. We will be back next week. Thank you, buddy and Billy, for joining me once again, and we will see you guys later.